Greetings and salutations. Welcome to a G-Tag gameplay video. So, this isn't necessarily going to be a normal video, but rather my midterm project. Essentially, I'm going to yap about sciencey stuff for the next, I don't even know how many minutes, while playing some G-Tag. And so, I did my topic on nuclear and coastal wind power, and how it's obviously superior, and should replace other harmful fossil fuels such as oil and petroleum mining. Now, I do want to explain how each of the power sources work before I actually make a proposition, just so you know how each one works, and we can all be on the same page. Hopefully. Here, let me really quickly switch over to public lobby, and I should be good to go.
So to start off, there are two main systems that people use to create nuclear power. They are both kinds of light water reactors. However, for the sake of the argument, we're only going to look over the most common one. This is a pressurized water reactor, or a PWR. In reality, a PWR is actually quite simple. It takes water from the reactor pressure vessel, and by using the heat generated by the rods and the pressure tank, turns it to steam in the steam generator. Now, the steam goes through the pipes and spins the turbine to actually generate electricity. And after it does, of course, it goes into the condenser, gets fed back into the system, or, if it's too hot, to the cooling tower to get released back into the wild. Now, that we, and most people know this, you would think that we are actually already utilizing this energy source, right? Apparently not. Nuclear power doesn't even make up 4% of our energy, and we are on a decline. Well, you might be thinking, Meow Man, surely it's not being utilized as much because it's not as efficient as our sweet, succulent oil. The thing is, 1 6-gram pellet of most nuclear fuel sources is roughly worth 120 gallons of oil. And on top of that, these things last too. An egg-sized piece of fuel lasts for literally a lifetime. Here, one thing I will say is that the cost to build a nuclear plant is pretty expensive, at roughly $6 billion. However, from then on out, the cost to run the plant is practically nothing compared to other sources. Those other sources like coal, gas, or even oil all depend on the discoveries of said non-renewables and the market of such. Not to mention that nuclear is mostly subsidized, which significantly helps make the cost of construction a lot more affordable for the people and the economy. Although I do want to be fair and list some setbacks of using nuclear power, because listing just the pros seems a little one-sided. Currently, we don't have many long-term solutions for storing spent nuclear fuel. However, technologies in the future could run on spent nuclear fuel, and certain types of nuclear reactors could use fuel more efficiently, as to produce less waste. But as of now, we are looking into storage or waste procedures. I do, for now, want to stray away from nuclear and talk about wind. No, not land wind, but coastal wind. Location, location, location. See, the coast provides the most wind and the most building space, depending on where it is. But for the most part, the wind from the coast spins the turbine directly, and in turn, generates mechanical energy to be turned into electricity, and sent off to be stored in industrial-grade batteries and used by civilians. This statistic is a little less shocking than before, but according to calculations done by ourworldandData.org, wind power is on an incline, but is still lacking in global energy usage at just 3.3. Don't get me wrong, 3.3 is better than nothing, and is increasing, but it's not nearly utilized enough to the extent it should be, like coastal wind power. Even wind alone is quite efficient, being able to compete in the market and quite literally free. However, I will say that the upfront cost of constructing wind turbines and, at that, coastal wind farms can be a bit much, running to roughly 12 million. As well, the location of where to build a farm doesn't come easy, with citizen complaints and costs buying the land. There are a couple of solutions to these problems. As wind farms are mostly subsidized, and some go corporate-owned, It would take off of the costs of construction as tax fluctuations come and go. As for the land, wait, what land? My preposition was all about location. Henceforth, we can construct these farms in areas offshore where there is little to no sea life or biodiversity, somewhere where people wouldn't want to or need to argue against that it's taking away from the beauty of said location. Now, changing the scene a little bit, one part of the assignment is to argue against one energy source. Petroleum and oil seemed as a clear choice. Let me explain. When people burn oil, it releases heat. Usually in power plants, the heat is used to turn water into steam. The steam then turns the turbines, which in turn creates electricity that may be sent and used however it's needed. It's also turned into gasoline, which is used by the combustion engines in various transportation vehicles, from cars to airplanes. As of now, through various means, oil makes up a grand 29.8% of all energy consumed. But that's not all. Its mere 31% efficiency is nothing compared to nuclear's 290, or even solar's 207% efficiency. The cost of oil heavily depends on the market of oil and the mining of or discoveries of such, where supply and demand take the most effect. In short, there has been quite the demand for oil, and the mining process isn't cheap either. With all that background context in mind, I think it's time to substantiate one last piece. You see, with nuclear power, it produces zero carbon emissions. Granted, the construction will create some, zero. Now, wind, on a similar leaf, also produces zero emissions other than initial construction. So here's the thing, both nuclear and wind are both not only over 6 to 9 times more efficient than oil and other dirty fossil fuels alone, but are cheaper in the long run and completely underutilized. These two energy sources are the key to helping us humans solve the energy crisis, and yes, granted that this is just a high school project, hopefully it can educate some people about the ongoing issues we face today. But wait, something is missing. You see, we can't really create a change if we aren't changing our old ways. Crude oils and petroleum mining add to the ever-increasing pollution crisis, and more CO2 is still being released into the ozone layer. Not to mention how mining and fracking of this stuff can lead to spills, leaks, and serious accidents that can cause near irreparable harm to countless ecosystems. You know what? Just to be fair, I'll play devil's advocate for a second. Albeit, oil is a versatile and cheap source of energy that did help us become who we are today. But there needs to be a change. Oils and petroleums are way less efficient compared to nuclear and wind, with technologies improving by the day. The same goes for prices reliant on inflation and our unstable market. Still, these prices not only of our economy, but for our planet. I really don't mean to sound cheesy by this, but we only get one Earth, one life, one species, and are we really just going to sit back and watch as our sole purpose get drowned in oil? No. We need to take action by reducing petroleum and crude oil fracking and replace it with a main nuclear power force with extra coastal wind support in case of any setbacks.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching this sort of YouTube documentary. I know this is definitely not my idea of a first video, but I find it kind of fitting. If you guys liked it, be sure to leave a like, comment, and hey, subscribe, I guess. I certainly can't wait to see what this channel grows into, whether slow or not, but I'm glad to start. All sources used to make this video are linked in the description and can be fact-checked if necessary, but for now, all I have to say is adios.